engine job on 2016 Ford Edge 2.0 turbo. I removed the airbox along with the dockings. I removed the AC, the fan. What else? I removed the oil. Now I'm gonna do the coolant. But the reason why I'm dropping the engine is because it was burning coolant and it was getting a misfire in cylinder 3. To get this out, as you can see, it's stuck. Pry the red piece back in. So I went ahead and removed the battery tray. For the intake, you want to get to this flathead, which is the clamp for the hose to the throttle body. We're going to take off these bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth one. So to get to this corner bolt on the intake, this one right here, you need to remove the two 10mm pulley. This pulley right here. 10 mils. And here, when you remove the 10 bolts. And that's it. Intake comes loose. See? Just double check for any wires, like the sensor is connected here, has to be disconnected. And when you're moving the intake, the back is going to have some wires. So behind the intake, you're going to have the knock sensors on both sides. So you're just going to use your clip removal tool and get behind the hood and pry it out like that. So behind the intake, you're going to have this tab right here. It needs to squeeze both sides, either with the pliers or your hands, and just it'll pop out. And also this one right here. This one here, same thing, double sided from the top. You see the white parts, you have to press the white parts. The bottom of the intake is the throttle body, and then you're going to need to remove the throttle body sensor, which you just pull this little red tab back, and then you squeeze the clip, and it should come right out. And then the intake's out. Edge 2016 bumper. Now you're gonna move the fender liner, which is a bunch of 5.5 screws, two 10 plastic 10 nuts, one clip right here. But now the bumper does not pop off like most cars. You get these bolts, these 3 bolts right here, and then the bumper will slide off. Clips on top. Same thing on this side. There's the fender liner, bolts up here. 1, 2, 3. I'm using a tire. You're gonna have this little cord right here. It's the engine warmer. And that's it. The bumper is completely disconnected. So to drain the coolant, a little tab, just turn it anti-clockwise. Remove this hose from the plastic coolant. For removing hoses, you can use one of these two. If you don't have this, you can use one of these. Channel lock, open it wide, go around, not too hard on this one. Make sure the hose is clean. With the radiator, everything. Complete removal. I'm going to pull the engine from the front. So opening the bolts on the manifold, or the turbo I should say. What I do, I just use a pry bar and pry off the axle so you can get enough leverage to crack this bolt. For this one, I just double up the ratchet. 15. You just double it up like that. So you have a little more leverage to pry. See? But it can slip, so you gotta be careful. So, open those bolts so I can get the converter to slide that way. So I can get it off to here. Because I'm not moving the tranny, I'm not moving the axles. I unbolted the axles, as you can see. Axles is loose. So I got the bracket out, and now the catalytic converter is free to slide. Keep checking your transmission bolts. This is the top one by the catalytic converter. This is the one below it. This is the one coming down. See the housing here? So the medium long one goes here. And the extreme long one goes up there. Where's my lever? Goes up there, see? Short one goes here. This is, I have one more bolt holding the tranny, and I'm opening this one so you can see the tranny is spreading from the engine. Starting to separate, so that's good. Also, these rings works amazing. You can get a set, works nice. Also, I use deep socket flex. These are the best, trust me. Because the regular ones are short like this, but then you can't use it for bolts that extend. For the regular short flex, you can't put it over this. But with the deep socket flex, you can go over this no problem. So I'm just about getting ready to pull the engine. So I have this one bolt right here, and I have the engine mount. I need oil. Some crates, put your bolts, set up your bolts.
In particular,
so I'm going to open the engine mount, start pulling this engine. So I opened the 21 bolts right here. So now I'm just going to stick this pry bar. When you're putting back the torque of the engine, you have to get these holes in the torque converter here, just to line up with the flywheel hole. It's going to be, you know, you can damage it. So my engine is free, so I'm going to start pulling up slowly. So I went ahead and opened the thermostat housing because it's leaking a bunch of coolant. Clear the subframe, looking at the back, everything looks good. And my engine is out. Now, transfer everything from this forward edge. Eesh, look at the view. Brand new. So I'm transferring parts. For some of my gaskets, add a little coating of silicone. You don't have to, a little bit, not too much. Just a little coating of gasket maker soap. It helps. Now, and this. I'm gonna do the injectors. So I'm not gonna put this bolt yet. Because when I do the injectors, I'm gonna have to connect this part to the fuel rail, and I need it to be loose. But you have to remember to put that bolt back. So you're gonna leave this loose for the time being until you do your injectors. Okay, I'm taking out the flywheel. Grooves for the nut. You can see the marking where the nut was, so that obviously is going to be the front of the flywheel. A little tip you could use, like you're going to put the hose in, but now it's a little bit expanded because of the piping, so the clamp, it's hard to go over. So you could just use some lube, and that helps it slide way better. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Just beautiful. What do you look at? So I'm going to remove this because I need this to put the AC bracket on. Now, if you don't have the torque, I have it, I'm just lazy to go get it. You can use a 5.5. See? Voila. So I'm doing the injectors. You can see how dirty these injectors are. It's crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all these injectors. So I went ahead and cleaned up the injectors a bit as best I can. There you go. It's clean enough. Use a little bit of lube and a rag. Just pretty much wipe out all the gunk that was around it. So mounting up the turbo. Before you mount the turbo, you bolt it. Just catch the turbo and then make sure you catch this line first. Because if you tight it, you're not going to be able to get this line in place. This screw. This one came with brand new spark plugs. It's good. It's very good. Allows. We transferred the pulleys, the water pump pulley, put the crank sensor, put the turbo lines. I still have one line at the bottom. You gotta be careful with that line. Yeah, it's about to go in. Just like that. And this one is ready to go in. Everything is set up. So, pretty much ready to put the engine in. Before you do that, just put some grease on this, right here on the torque converter. And just in case it moves, always push and spin, just to make sure it's seated properly. Because sometimes it comes off a little bit and it doesn't leak. Always spin it before you put it in. I'm going to put some grease here. Some grease there. And we're good to go. Oh, it helps. Not everybody, but someone. Alright, let's get to it. Now I need this axle bracket to stay straight. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape from right here to right here. Just to help it straight. Because if you put it in like this, then you're not going to be able to flip it, right? When the engine is in. Something to pay attention to. Right there. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm dropping the engine the way it is on the mount. Just so I can move the chain over. Should all help me. So now you can use a little jack at the bottom. You can use a pry bar from the subframe at the bottom of the engine, however you want to align the engine. So I'm going to do that. And remember, you have to get this torque converter nut bolt through the flywheel. Like right now it's lined up. As you can see it right there, right? Keep in mind, I'm doing this alone. Okay, so the whole engine is lifting. So, let's get the pry bar. Okay, so I got the engine lined up, as you can see. Bolts is in, and you can see my torque converter bolt is in. Where is it? Right there. That's the main thing. If you don't watch that, you're in problems. So yeah. Now I'm just gonna catch this up some more. Oh, I had to take off this mount, by the way. Coming out was easy though. Going back, it was blocking me, hitting right here. So my axle bracket is giving it a little issue. It's moving a bit too much. So it cannot move down, it cannot move up. It has to stay in one piece. So I'm using the pry bar, just balance it on the caliper, like that. It's good enough. So I can push the engine in to catch the mount. Okay, so I caught up the mount. I'm done with the crane. Gonna bolt up the tranny. Don't worry about the gap hitch. Everything is gonna be pulled in as soon as I start tightening up the bolts. Just gonna pull this bolt in. Everything close right up in place. Just like that. Beautiful. Short ones. Those at the bottom. Alright, so we got tranny bolted up. I put in the axle brackets, the bolts to the axle bracket. What I'm gonna do, I have to do the torque converter bolts and put back all the wires, then the alternator and AC and stuff. So for the torque converter bolts, make sure you don't drop these in here. You're gonna have a little bit of problem to get it back. Tight these with the impact gun and I'll go from there. So, putting back the wires, just lay them out. Normally they start forming how they came out. And for a starting point, I started here because I know this goes there. These are the coil pads, we know that. You just gotta figure out how they came out. We run them the same way. Like this is for the computer, so we know that goes on this side. This is for the side of the engine, so we know that goes down the back. This is the crank sensor, so he has to route all the way down to the back. Be careful though, they hook everywhere. You don't want to break the clips. I know he goes at the back. I'm gonna drop it down. This one goes in the middle right here. And try to put it back as factory as possible. That's the goal. Make it look like nobody opened it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start setting up my wires. So put the wires first before you put alternator, starter, and all these things, because the wires actually goes on the block. There's little places for them to clip onto the block. So I got most of the wires routed. So putting in the AC compressor. I'm gonna put the belt first. Make sure you put the alternator belt first. Just hang it over. Then you put the AC belt. And before you put it up, you have to put this bolt first, the top bolt, because it touches the subframe. So you put the bolt, and then you just slide it over and catch it up. So I've caught this bolt a little bit. Don't worry about this guy. We're gonna use a pry bar to just pry from AC right here to make it a line. And then I caught the bottom bolt a little bit right here. So you take the pry bar, put it like right here. Pry up on the AC. Now we can just tighten that bolt at the bottom. And it should be hold in place. First, I'm going to line it a little bit. So, I got it aligned. I'm just going to catch up the bolt up top. At the bottom, I mean. And there you go. Bolts in. This is caught with one bolt, and it's all aligned. Now we can catch this one. And you can see this bolt has to go first because you cannot get it to put it after this. You put it in because the subframe is going to block it. Make sure this bolt is hanging, tape it up or whatever, just leave it there. Right. So, got the AC belt in. Alternator belt is here. It's so messed up though, I don't know why Ford did this. But you have to see where this belt sits. To change this alternator belt, you have to remove the AC belt. Change the AC belt, you have to remove the AC compressor. To remove the AC compressor, you have to remove the gas. Back the exhaust, so I put a little bit of silicone on the exhaust, just around it to help seal. Now we're just gonna tighten up the 215s and connect my O2 sensors. And we should be okay for that. So, I gotta put back the bracket over here. We should be okay. So when you put the bracket, make sure you catch all the bolts first. Keep it loose. Catch up the top on these two and then tie it up. One tip not to forget, there's a little vacuum line right here. Sensors exhaust is done. I'm going to put the clamp on this line right here, and then I'm going to put this air dock. Another thing I almost forgot, that's why I put bolts right in front of my eyes, because I went to put the air dock and then I seen this bolt. So right away I remembered there's a ground wire right there. So So this ground wire bolts to the engine block with a 13. Don't forget the ground wire. Now, there's two holes. So I wasn't sure if the ground wire goes on the top or the bottom. As you can see, I'm looking at the old engine, it goes at the bottom. Okay, so that's just a little tip. You can always go back to your old engine to see where the wire goes. Like it can go here also. Like I said, it's better to put it back the factory way. So the wire is tight. It's right here. Make sure the ground wire goes under the lines, under these lines, and not over. So I ran into a little issue. Look at how my belt is sitting. It's not sitting flush. It's supposed to be way better than that. Way flusher than that. See where it's sitting? That's not good. So now if you look, you can see right there. See, the block is extended a bit. There's a little bit of maybe 1/8 extended. So it's pushing the pulley out of it. See, the old engine is flush. First you take this out. You're going to take this out with a flathead, and then use the needle nose to pry it up, and take this piece out. This piece goes inside, go like that. So we're not going to use that no more. And put it back to status. Problem solved. So after trying a couple of washers, because the bolt was too long when I tried to put it back, so the problem was not solved. So now I took the piece from back here and I'm using that as a washer in front. So that way the bolt is not, maxed out. So hopefully this works. Problem solved. As you can see, I used the washer from behind and it worked. Because now the pulley, it's not loose or dangling and it spins freely. It's close to the block, but it's perfect. You can see the marking on the water pump. It's lining up perfect. So if you have this problem, just take the washer from behind and put it at the front. And you're good to go. So I put the belt back on. And it's like from the factory, OEM style. Did you look at it? Just look at it. Good to go. What I have to do now is put this piece on. As you can see, put some coolant lines. Battery is already connected, everything. Good to go. Okay, so to put back the rebar / rad support, it's going to be these 4 bolts. 413 on each side. Including with these 213 and 210. So each side has 4, 5, 6, 8 bolts that holds the whole structure. Aside from all the clips on top. When you put the bolts back, make sure you try to put the bolt exactly where it was. Like right here you can't see the paint that was rubbed off. Make sure you don't see nothing over there. Look at that. Like that. Perfect. Okay, so we got the front rad support on. Most of the wires connected. I'm just gonna put the headlights now. Tranny cooler lines already connected. This one is, I believe, mass airflow sensor. And before you put everything, just double check. Make sure you don't have no loose wires anywhere. Like these little sensors, like see this little one right here. This wire was tucked down. So for the headlight, it's two 10 bolts. One up here, goes there, and one right here. That goes there. And one clip, one wire connector. This one right here. And for the bottom piece, it just sits in this piece right here. So just two 10 bolts. Put the one in. And you can see for the bottom, this plastic just sits in there. Pretty much. That's it. And you catch up your bolts, line it up. And that's how you put back the headlight. Disconnect this wire. Alright, I'm ready for my first startup. Headlights are in. The bumper I'm gonna do while the car is running. I'm gonna run this car for about 20 minutes. Make sure the fan comes on, the cooling fan. All the air bubbles come out from the cooling system. And I'm also going after 20 minutes I'm gonna do an oil change. Just to make sure, you know, no debris is inside the engine or anything from all the new parts. So after we do that, we're gonna see what's going on. Alright, everything is pretty much done. Oil, coolant. I double checked all my sensors. Time for the first startup. Let's see what happens. First startup. That pulley looks fine. Everything is moving smooth. Now we're gonna warm up. The coolant fan comes on. And check for any leaks. In the meantime, we're going to put the bumper on. Bubbles are coming out. Coolant, good. Okay, so my engine job is complete. I put back the bumper, the light, tire, you know. Anyways, so now when I went to start the car started the first time, but it took maybe 2 seconds to start. It gave me a hard start. So I run the codes and I got a tank sensor code and low fuel pressure. So I'm assuming the fuel pressure is because the lines had no gas and stuff, or because it was cranking too much. So what I did was I just loosened the tank sensor bolt. And I shifted it, I slide it a little bit over to the left, well, to the front of the car. And tied it back up, cleared the codes, start the car, and everything is good. No hard starts, no more codes. Fan came on twice, so I know that's good. So I'm going to let it run for another 5-10 minutes. Then I'm going to do an oil change. New filter, new oil, and this car is done. It. So if you do an engine and you do get a hard start, check the tank sensor. You don't need to take off the wheels or nothing. You can just lift up the car and do it from underneath. Just to 8 volts, just loosen it and slide it. You can only move about 1/8. You know, up or down. So yeah, that's it. All I have to do is put the engine cover and undercarriage cover for underbird. And that's it. (2016) Ford Edge 2.0. So brand new engine.